I've wanted this for so long.
We launched a competition to find London's most exciting young artists.
What's this then? Some kind of modern art or something?
A panel of respected judges chose their favourite 10. And over 40,000 members of the public voted for our 11th winner, the People's Choice. These artists are about to embark on the journey of their lives. Let the creating begin. One shout out to all London's young artists. Over 600 pieces of original work submitted to our competition. 13 revered judges considered each and every piece. 10 artists went through to the final. And over 40,000 members of the public voted for their favourite, the People's Choice. 5 professional mentors guided our winners for a month. The mentors' work is done. The artists are now on their own, putting the final touches to their new work, reflecting the spirit of London. Next week is showtime. All will be revealed in a central London exhibition and offered up in a global online auction.
I'm desperate to sort of take the camera off him and do my own version. But I can't interfere too much, it's killing me. I've got my iPhone. I'll do one on the iPhone.
I do sort of miss the wild, the unexpected. But it's been a really interesting, really interesting assignment, I think, for me, because it's so out of my comfort zone and so different, and it's come with so many challenges which I didn't even know existed, really. You know, these are brand new challenges, so yeah, it's given me a lot to think about, for sure. I kind of started wanting to shoot foxes because I'm a wildlife photographer. I wanted to do it in the wild, and you know, foxes are a great metaphor for London. They're an animal that's come to London and really thrived and made it their own. And so we wanted to try along that route, but it's been very challenging. Started off in the wild, just didn't have enough time for that really, but gave it a good shot. Then we went down the rescue fox route, and we thought we had this great fit. The charity was happy, and we'd had a shoot planned, permits booked, everything. And then last minute, the fox dropped out. So I decided, you know, we'll change tack and we'll go with a dog, and then we don't have to worry about the ethics of it at all. That's all above board.
Reggie!
Reggie, what's this? Do you figure with the 2 bollards?
That's what I mean, because it's very London, it's very...
We love a bus, don't we? Let's try that. If we could try and sit him between the 2 bollards. I find it really difficult asking people to do things because I'm not used to, you know, you don't ask a lion to yawn or to sit somewhere in particular, so I get really English about it and kind of, sorry, do you mind doing that? And it's quite embarrassing. Reggie.
That's good.
Yeah, that was good.
That looks
There
good.
we go.
That looks good.
Good boy.
Good boy.
Reggie! Woo! Did you need a bit of light on him?
I don't know, what do you think? Do you think a little bit of pop?
It just looks quite dark there. I mean, I know you can bring it out. You shoot him raw.
Yeah, shoot raw. I normally just bring it out. It's normally, I mean, because I don't shoot with flash, I'm normally quite happy with that. But if you think,
well, if you're used to working with that,
it's funny, isn't it?
isn't
It's
it
just,
funny? Everyone shoots different.
yeah.
Just lovely chatting because we work so differently
Yeah.
from each other.
Well, this is why it's so much to learn. I actually think it was more interesting talking to you than a wildlife photographer because I kind of know my industry.
Yes,
and
that's
there's-
your speciality. I mean, if you want to try one lick with him, we can. So put that on your hot shoe. Right, just
Jesus, look at that thing.
just
Looks like some
fire
sort
it. See if it's
nuclear
just do a
reactor.
test. Yeah.
That works.
Wait. Wait. Stay. Stay. Good boy.
Reggie.
Good boy.
Reggie. Reggie.
Basically really worried that I've now messed this up. It looks like 2 different paintings. And now the balance is really off, so I'm gonna try and brighten up the left-hand side a lot in order for this to actually be a functioning painting, which it is not. I'm gonna make it way lighter and I'm just brightening up the front. Yeah, There's a couple of days to go. Okay, it's getting there. It's changed. Just need to figure out the last bit of composition.
Working from photos like digitally is just easier, I feel like, because you can zoom in, you can do all of that. But the only downfall of working from photos and not in real life is photo quality. Like, you're never gonna beat real life, you know what I mean? It's always gonna look a lot better if you're working in person. Yeah, so I've just been taking it sort of day by day, really. Each day focusing on a different section. I try not to be too ambitious. I feel like a lot of times artists forget that people are viewing the work, but one thing that I do like is I like for people to form their own opinions on the work. Art doesn't always have to have meaning. People can create the meaning, and that's what's so special about art, really. It's subjective, you know. Art is just expression. It doesn't have to have a conscious meaning. The art is the meaning. What colours you use, your brushstrokes. It doesn't always have to be conscious. It can be subconscious. But with a lot of my pieces, in terms of colours that I use, particularly for the backgrounds, they're quite spontaneous. I often start with painting the people and then I go to the background towards the end, and it's a process where I sort of look at it for a second. I think, well, what will work best? I get a couple colours, sort of put them next to it maybe, and sort of just, it's a bit of intuition really, sort of figuring out what I think will suit it best. But that part's never really planned, and I like it that way. I like the reveal. It's almost like a reveal, finally seeing how it looks towards the end. As you can see, like, I have to finish the hands still, the feet, just really the small sort of details that I leave to the end, and then the shadows too. And I'm thinking of incorporating a flower as well. I feel like, as I spoke about before, that's sort of like a motif that I have in a lot of my work that sort of brings it all together.
Managed to get some paint on the box yesterday. That's good, it's coming along. I reckon I want to try and get like most of the back finished today. Managed to get the main feature painted on it yesterday, so I'm happy with that. And now I need to drink about 1 gallon of coffee and crack on with it. Okay, so the back is finished, the sides are finished. So now I just need to shimmy it around so that I can paint the frame bit on the front. However, moving this on my own does make me feel quite nervous. Yeah, it's coming on really well and it's nearly finished, so that's exciting.
The sculpture is almost finished. Here you can see my model, the maquette, and then here's the larger piece. I'm still doing some final touches. I'm really excited to take the piece apart and actually reinstall it in a gallery. I've heard that the Old Design Museum is a fantastic space, and it will be really exciting to actually see it out of the studio and into an official, beautiful space. And I'm interested to see how it will work with the lighting there and with a bit more breathing space, and also just to see it all come together in the same space. It will be fantastic as well to get a final feedback session from my mentor, Ian, and I am wondering if he'll be able to see if any of his advice or his ideas have been interwoven into my artwork, because I certainly have definitely gotten a lot from his knowledge and experience and some of the suggestions that he's made. And I've taken up his suggestion that he brought up in the first meeting that we had, which was to create a maquette or a model of the piece, of the final piece. And I had started out creating that, and then I sort of built it along a similar timeline that I was creating the larger piece. but you won't get a sense of what the final artwork will really look like until it's installed in the gallery space with a couple of other layers, which are a surprise, so stay tuned.
I think initially when I saw the Spirit of London, it was like terror. I think because I'm a Londoner, it's very hard to pin it to one thing. I know there's kind of like attractions that people would say are Spirit of London, but I think when you come from a place, there's always like the smaller things that you want to focus on. And so I think my Spirit of London that I kind of staying true to now was the Spirit of London last year with the Black Lives Matter protest, and kind of how, despite everyone being quite fractured and kind of all the conversations going around about decolonising and anti-racism, there was this, again, dual sense of unity. And I think within that, it wasn't just black bodies, it was everyone in the UK that came together and just kind of protested for this like common interest. So Patrick Hutchinson, the organisation that he runs, they basically went down to the protest to be guardian angels, as they term themselves, but it was essentially to make sure that no kind of trouble happened. In doing so, there was a member, I think, of the alt-right who kind of came to challenge them. There was some ruckus that happened, and it was near Waterloo. And so actually what happened is Patrick got pictured actually kind of getting that man to safety. I haven't actually met Patrick in person, and so it's very hard for me to visualise 2D features and faces from someone I actually physically haven't met, yet alone having to do it then from 2D photos. There was this moment of like stopping before I got kind of too far within the process of not being able to kind of finish or create any outcome. So it kind of then became a marrying of some of Patrick's features with some of the original casts that I've done with some of my other collaborators, and kind of having a bit more of a fluid process where there were like components of each, and there wasn't really any kind of anything compelling me to be very strict on focusing on Patrick or another. It was just kind of whoever was around me. I think actually I had a lot more fun than I give myself credit for. I think it was hard in the beginning because you are trying to pin down ideas, and then you realise that it's not an open brief. There is a Spirit of London element that you do kind of have to attend to. So obviously when I'm making it, there's certain compositions where what I photographed it in, which I imagine that would stay, but then understanding how that translates to maybe them both being on one plinth, maybe them separating onto two prints. Do I change then the composition? I think for me personally, it's just been like a really, really like fun experience. Like nothing like I anticipated it would be. You know, when I submitted my work, I just wasn't thinking anything in the scope of like being involved. I just thought I'll just put my hat in the ring. Like this is what it's like when you live with an artist, my friends. Body parts everywhere, animals everywhere.
So I'm into my third week working on the portraits now. And I feel like it's going pretty well. I've finished the first portrait of Lulu. It took me a while to get there, but yeah, I think obviously the main thing is the portrait itself. And I think I was able to capture Lulu. I think I just sort of caught that slight look, that look of, you know, that slight sense of humour sort of peeling through. It's quite a serious expression. I want it to be making eye contact with the viewer, but then there's just that slight hint around the lips of a smile cracking. And I think that sense of humour and kindness in there. And that's really important because obviously I feel that's a big part of Lulu and her personality. Yeah, so I was really happy with that first one in the end. And yeah, obviously I was able to have another meeting with Miriam, which was great. And great timing, especially when I was just sort of thinking about, okay, how am I going to do this for this second piece? And one of the main things we talked about really was this of how to create that childlike perspective, and a big thing that came up with this idea of colour, and how can you use colour to suggest that sort of childlike mindset and that innocence. And that was a really interesting conversation. That kind of led me to I guess adjust the palettes that I was using a little bit, especially in the background. So I'll show you the stage it's at now. So the transfers are complete, and I'm really happy with the way the transfers went. The transfers, like I said before, they're very different in this image. The image that I'm using are far older. So these top ones of my uncle and Lulu's father. So it's his time growing up in Ghana and his time in the Navy. And then further down, sort of, Lulu's first steps. And I love this image here, especially Lulu within the cityscape. I thought it's just a lovely moment within it. Hopefully, it's coming on all right. The actual portrait would be quite complicated with this one because there isn't too much information in the reference photo I'm using. So a lot of it will actually be taken from this first portrait. So it's definitely going to be very challenging. But just have to see where it goes now.
I think for me, when we spoke about the composition, I think because there was so much white, I was worried, because it balanced really well, I was so worried that if I darkened the white too much, then the whole colour of the palette would just darken. So that's why, I'll show you, it was like this before. So this is what it looked like before I drew the hair on. But now looking at it, it just looks empty. Now looking at it like that, it just looks empty. But I played with so many different ideas of how I could do the hair. And because I really liked this painted section here, I did not want to get rid of that, which I haven't in the end.
Yeah, these printouts that you're showing me, did you use these to try out different ways so you actually worked on the printouts to try out what would work and wouldn't work on the final image?
Yeah, that's what I did, because I didn't want to just go straight on and do it, because I wasn't sure, because I had so many ideas to play with. Like, this was the words overlaid on top, so I didn't want to just do and to be fair, this was the idea that I was going to do, so it's good that I didn't actually go directly onto the piece, because I didn't like it in the end. I'm confident in myself, but just getting your opinion just makes me feel like, even better. So yeah, thank you very much.
Do you know the Design Museum?
No, I haven't been there before.
Oh, it's a great space. It's a really lovely space, and it's right on the river, so the sense of light is really wonderful. So the work will look great hanging up there, I'm sure.
Oh, good. I'm a bit upset that we can't have the public see it as well, but it is what it is, I guess, with this COVID stuff. I'm really nervous for the auction. I've never had an auction. I've done an auction before.
I've no idea. I think it's really exciting for you guys to have your work auctioned, and we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. Don't know, because I was
just enjoy it, Tanya. I mean,
no, I definitely will. I mean, I'm really proud of how far I've come with it, and whatever happens, even if it was sold for like a £5, I'd still be happy about the process and stuff, I think, because it's just an opportunity that I would never have had without the show. So
So my usual framer in Streatham is closed because of lockdown. So my mentor Sophie Knight came to the rescue and suggested I go to this framer, which is the one that she uses. Hi. Heart's beating a little bit. There it is. So yeah, it's definitely the most detailed work I've ever done, I'd say. Yeah. Pleased, very pleased. Sophie Knight actually suggested I get this kind of frame. I like this kind of area of the painting because there's so many kind of different buildings in the foreground, and they kind of scream London, and with all the different shapes. Yeah, very happy with it. Yes.
This time next week, this place will be buzzing, the Old Design Museum, and our winners will finally get to see their work go on show. And for the first time, they'll see their work exposed to a buying audience as we launch our online auction.